Reddit asked, what was the best you have no power here moment you have ever seen? Thank you for watching today's video, and let us know in the comments if you or anyone else you know has had a similar experience. If you've enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and ding the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. I told my husband a few hours after our wedding that I was getting remarried to a person I had never met before from Nigeria. He told me he was never going to stop me from accomplishing my dreams and put on Lean on Me by Bill Withers to let me know he had my back. I let him know I had an attorney on the line to get the paperwork initiated, and he said, "Honey, let's talk." He told me he had talked to his lawyer too, and that his lawyer had suggested that they all three get married over the internet for the benefits. I stood up and simply smiled. The next thing you know, my husband moved into a doghouse with a laptop so he could be ready in time for our video meeting with the priest. I didn't hesitate to have him go put up a TV monitor in every room so I could be connected with my new husband. I made sure the 78-inch, curved, 4K plasma ultra high-def TV went in the bathroom and had him take that 10-inch back out to the doghouse with him. The judge looked over all the paperwork and let my husband know that he was making a solid choice. 10 minutes after the online wedding, the signal went blank on every TV in the house, and we had no idea what was going on. A month later, we received a letter from the bank saying our house had a new owner and that I had to be gone within 24 hours. It turned out to be a happy ending as my new husband let my new husband stay in the doghouse, and they became best friends. I used to work for a manager when I worked at McDonald's that would always be whistling. I mean, this guy whistled so much we started calling him Dr. Von Squeegee and was doing everything in his power to make sure it was known that he was the best. One day during a busy weekend afternoon, one of the cashiers had inadvertently whistled while telling a customer how much change they would receive, and it ended up sending Dr. Von Squeegee into a frenzy. When the cashier tried to hand off the change to the customer, Dr. Von Squeegee slapped the change out of the customer's hand and started to drop a freestyle whistle that had the cashier in tears. The cashier made a valiant effort by firing off a few more inadvertent whistles to no avail. It took a few weeks for the cashier to recover, but he ended up forgiving Dr. Von Squeegee and recommended him to change his name to reflect the evolution of his whistle. Sure enough, a few more weeks goes by, and he changed his name from Dr. Von Squeegee to P. Dr. Von Squeegee and went on to become one of the biggest rap moguls in the industry. I was waiting for a friend to finish work, and she worked at a restaurant that was so bad that they would keep a minimum of 2 people to prevent mice from entering the restaurant. Online, the position was listed as a rat handler, but it paid well, so the people hired generally didn't mind. The place was literally trash. Folks would bring their garbage bags from home and just leave them in the middle of the restaurant. Somehow that didn't stop people from descending in groves. Those with a reservation were never seated and just stood there for hours. Prospective walk-ins wanted to see what all the new rave in Europe was and were always charmed by the rat handlers. For online orders, the driver would jump out to get the food, and when they would open their door, there would be multiple rats that would come running out of the back seat and start fighting with the rats that were already trying to get into the restaurant. It usually took the driver about 3 hours of waiting before they got the food. By the time they were on the road, the order had already fallen off the roof of the car and was instantly smashed by the car behind it. The woman accompanying the restaurant was known for her role on a regional daytime soap opera that had flopped so hard it was taken off the air during the first commercial break. She had decided to take it upon herself to deal with the growing rat problem outside the restaurant. A small circle that could fit the rats was set up, and they ended up giving the rats jerseys with numbers. As customers were waiting for their order, they would place bets on which rat they thought was the fastest. Within a few weeks, this thing was bigger than the Kentucky Derby. The Rat Racing League was threatened to be shut down by the Kentucky Derby, but they had already become the preferred animal to watch being raced. It turns out the Rat Racing League rebranded to the Kentucky Derby, and the end ended up taking over the old stadium at the Kentucky Derby, where the rats are still racing to this day. I once had learned that my boyfriend was cheating on me for months, and the other girl was pregnant and keeping the baby. It was 100% certain, and I was so excited by this that I called my family to tell them we were going to have a baby. My boyfriend kicked me out of his house, so I snuck back in one night and started living in a makeshift bed in the attic. I wouldn't leave for weeks on end sometimes, so the entire house ended up smelling like a giant porta potty. About a year later, I knew I had to be a little more psycho to get his attention. So I did what any psycho girlfriend would do and got a job at his company he had been working with for 15 years. I did my best to avoid him for the first few days to feel things out around the office. I wasn't sure how I should approach him and let him know I had been living in his attic until one day I just started staring at him without blinking for 5 hours. About 6 of his co-workers had gathered around me at one point in the day wondering who I was or what I was doing there, and I just pointed at my husband saying oi oi oi. I blurted out that I had been living in his attic this whole time and that he might have to get rid of the mold created by the makeshift bathroom I had made in the corner. His co-workers were impressed with what I had accomplished and demoted my husband so I could fill his spot. He had absolutely no power over the amount of psycho I was.